Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? My name is Blitzwinger. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for yet another WWE predictions video. Of course, last month I did the Survivor Series predictions video. You guys really enjoyed that. Thank you so very much for the support on that. If you guys enjoyed this month's, I will definitely consider making another one in the future. So don't forget to leave a like. And with that in mind, ladies and gents, this is going to be a rough show to watch. I think that the last month of WWE television has been the worst TV I've ever watched as a fan of wrestling. It's just been non-consequential, and it has felt like there's just simply no reason to care. And there's really, except for the New Day, honestly, there's almost nothing that I enjoy watching on WWE TV, especially this last month. So I'm hopeful that maybe TLC will be kind of like a reset point, and we'll be able to get moved. Being said, let's discuss the match card. Just wanted to contextualize where my decisions are coming from, my predictions are coming from, because let's just say I'm much less than enthusiastic about the current product of WWE. So, first and foremost, we've got Ryback versus Rusev. That's going to be a match that happens at TLC. Really, the main reason for it happening is because I think they need to have most of the competitors of the League of Nations in action, even though Bad News Barrett doesn't get a match, doesn't he? Which is kind of odd. But essentially, Ryback came out and assaulted Rusev. Then Rusev used Lana for distractions to get wins and to get attacks on Ryback. Why do I keep saying Sheamus? Because it's like Sheamus is in the ring, but yeah. I think Rusev wins this. I think there's no reason for Ryback to win this match. Like, it doesn't build anything, any type of momentum for Ryback. I think Ryback as a character is kind of stuck in neutral for the last few months. I really think they need to figure something out with him because I think that having him just wrestle guys and just have programs for the sake of having programs puts him in a weird position. I think maybe they need to, right now, obviously, they can't give him a month off and kind of like bring him back into the product fresh or in some way reinvigorated, but he needs to do something, whether it's change up his attire, add a maneuver or two to his repertoire, something, because he's just been really, really stale and dull. So I think that Ryback needs some type of a reset, which many of the superstars on the current roster do, especially with the way that the product's going. But then we have the Divas Championship match, which is going to be Charlotte, along with Ric Flair by her side, of course, her father, taking on Paige. This has been probably one of the weirdest booked match feuds ever. That's why I'm struggling to even explain what it is. But you have Paige turn heel, then a few weeks later you have Charlotte turn heel, then she turns on Becky. It's like this complete, I don't even know what to explain it as. It's just a mess. Like, it literally looks like there's 500 different opinions, and they're constantly going different ways. Like, you gotta stick with, you have to have a little bit of long-term planning. Like, you can't literally go week to week and just be like, well, this week it'll be cool if we did this. It's like, but you just last week did something that completely goes against that. It makes no sense. So I hope that they start thinking long-term a little bit, and I hope that maybe this is the start of that, because honestly, at this point, it just annoys me that they're able to do such great work with all of the women's wrestlers on NXT, but then as soon as they show up to the main roster, it's like they literally don't know what to do. Like, they are just running around like headless chickens and trying to just throw stuff against the wall, and whatever sticks, it's like, well, there we go. We got something popular, like the New Day, let's say, and then they just run them to the ground and have them in 500 segments every week, which doesn't work either, because then you just get annoyed at seeing the same exact shtick over and over and over again, and it loses its luster. So, again, I know I'm getting fired up here, but I just really want the product to be good. I really want to care. It's just the problem is we're not given any reason to do so. So it's a little bit frustrating. Let's put it that way. As far as my prediction, I think Charlotte wins. I think there's probably likely to be a double turn. Paige turns babyface, Charlotte goes full heel, and we go from there into our program. There's also a chance of Becky in some way getting involved in this, just maybe as a little bit of a sway or something, or there's a chance that when Charlotte turns heel, she is beating up Paige at the end of the match. Then Becky comes out for the save, and that's how we set up our next program, which would be Charlotte versus Becky, which again is good because it's long-term planning. So let's start doing more of that, guys. Like, it'd be good to know now already what you're doing at the Royal Rumble. Like, you shouldn't just be thinking what you're doing at Monday Night Raw. I think that the plan should be, hey, what are we doing at the Royal Rumble? Ideally, you want to know what you're doing at WrestleMania already, but with the way they're doing things, it doesn't seem like they know what they're doing at Monday Night Raw, or maybe even at TLC. Nonetheless, moving on to the next contest, which is going to be the Dudley Boyz, Tommy Dreamer, and Rhino, so the ECW Originals, taking on, of course, the Wyatts in an elimination tables match, which was a really, really clever way of allowing you to potentially eliminate Braun Strowman if you need to do so, because, of course, they're still trying to keep him a monster, and him, let's say, taking a lot of damage or getting pinned would be troublesome. However, him going through a table, it's not as bad. It's like, well, you know what? He made a mistake and he got put through a table. It's not nearly as bad as taking a pin. So I think it was very, very smart booking in that sense. At the same time, I think if the Wyatt family does not win a match, or does not win this match, you literally can just send them back to NXT, because they have been probably the worst treated commodity on WWE television, in my opinion. So more so than guys like Dolph Ziggler even and such, because they've literally, every time they've given them something interesting to do, they have then went ahead and just eliminated any type of momentum completely for the Wyatts. So I think that hopefully this will be the slow build. I don't want the Wyatts to be in any big feuds anytime soon. I think that at WrestleMania, that should be the first time that they have a big feud. For now, build them slowly. Make them take out the Dudleys, then make them take out someone else, then make them take out someone else. Make them take out Mark Henry, let's say, and have Bray wrestle Mark Henry and the Wyatt family help him. Build them back up. I think this should be the starting point for rebuilding the Wyatts, and without a shadow of a doubt, I both predict that the Wyatts win, and I think that if they do not win, that would be a huge mistake. I know people will say, well, the Dudleys haven't been treated all that well since they've come back. I know, but the Dudleys are not your future generation. You need to start building these new guys, and this is how you do it. So, in my opinion, the Wyatts need to win this thing, and hopefully they will, and hopefully they'll win maybe in a dominant fashion. I think it'd be kind of cool to see maybe for them to go with something where you could have the ECW Originals eliminate Braun Strowman first. He makes a mistake, he zigs when he should have zagged, the whole team gets him up for a 3D, they put him through a table, Braun Strowman is eliminated. It's like a huge, like, oh my god, the Wyatts are done, there's no way they could win now. Then of course they eliminate Eric Rowan, let's say, and then Wyatt, Bray Wyatt, and Luke Harper managed to pull it out and eliminate all 4 other members of the ECW Originals. That's what I think should happen. I think that makes sense. I think it builds up the credibility of the Wyatts, and without hurting Eric or Braun, because they just make a mistake and they get outnumbered in certain occasions. So I think that would make perfect sense, to be honest. Then we have the United States Championship being defended by Alberto Del Rio, who came back to some really, really good momentum. Hasn't really looked all that great since. I think he's been kind of, again, another guy that's stuck in neutral. And I know I've said that many times, but I think that that's the problem with the product, is there's a lot of guys that are literally just losing, winning. There's no momentum being built in either direction, and that's the worst you could do, is like when you just simply don't care. Not caring is worse than anything else. Like, you'd prefer for them to just think you're being underbooked, overlooked, whatever it is, but not caring is what's becoming and happening with a lot of the guys. Now, of course, Alberto Del Rio is a part of the League of Nations, and Jack Swagger and him are going at it over the whole thing with Zeb Coulter. So it's interesting in terms of, like, I think these guys are probably going to put on a pretty good match, because both guys can definitely go in the ring. So I'm hopeful that the match itself is good. The stipulation of it being a chairs match makes absolutely no sense. Again, it's one of those things where they're like, hey, it's TLC, we got to have a chairs match. But you have to have some sort of a storyline built into it. Like, hey, Alberto Del Rio attacked Jack Swagger on multiple occasions with a chair. So now Jack Swagger is able to then get a chair. Like, there needs to be some type of, at least a little bit of logic. Like, it has to be at least that small of a thread as to why it's a chairs match. And there's absolutely none of that happening. So I'm obviously hopeful that in this scenario, there'll be at least some sort of an explanation as to why it's a chairs match. There isn't, so that's unfortunate. I think Alberto Del Rio wins this. There's no any logical reason why Jack Swagger would win, except for just throwing in the curveball and continuing the feud, I guess. If they don't have anything else for Alberto Del Rio, that's a way to do it. But I just don't see any logical reason for Del Rio to lose right now. It doesn't make sense. You don't gain anything by making Jack Swagger the champion, other than maybe another month of programming towards the Royal Rumble. But I think they're more focused right now on the League of Nations stuff than they are on the individual feuds. Like, they're more focused on the group as a whole than the individual members. So, other than Sheamus. So I don't really see Alberto Del Rio losing. I think he walks away as the United States champion. Then we move on to the match that I'm actually most excited for. That's the match that I can actually care for and I can actually get invested in. And that's going to be a ladder match, a triple threat ladder match between the New Day, of course, the Usos, and the Lucha Dragons. I think this match has to be spectacular. I mean, all of the teams in this match, all of the team members are phenomenal. You got a powerhouse in Big E who could set up a lot of really, really cool base kind of, strong power moves for the match. You got Kofi, who's always phenomenal in ladder matches, or anytime that there's a ladder involved, he does some crazy, crazy stuff. I don't think I've ever seen Xavier Woods in a ladder match, so we'll see how that works out. The Lucha Dragons are obviously going to provide some really, really exciting high flying. Same with the Usos. They kind of have a little bit of everything to offer to the table. As far as who walks away as champions, I think right now they're super duper high on the New Day. They've literally put them in every segment possible on WWE television. So I think that will be no different here. They're going to try to keep the Usos as champions for, I think, about as long as they possibly can. So I don't see that changing anytime soon. So as a result of that... Are you serious? Did that really just happen, ladies and gentlemen? How did he just pull down the title in like seconds? Okay, like, that's the kind of thing that I think is possible to happen on the actual show, but I hope does not happen because it would make absolutely no sense. However, my prediction, the New Day walks away as the victors. Intercontinental Championship match, Dean Ambrose versus Kevin Owens. I think that they need to give the title to Dean Ambrose. Now, of course, there are rumors that that Kevin Owens is going to be wrestling Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. If that's the case, then obviously, if that's really what they want to do and they're serious about that, keep building Owens as strong and keep having him win out these matches. I think that would make absolute sense. So if that's the case, then I understand why Kevin Owens would win. But if you want to get a decent program for Dean Ambrose, let's say into next month, for him to do something, put the belt on him, have Kevin Owens win it back at the Royal Rumble, and then you build up to maybe Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens if you don't want to do Brock versus Owens. Whatever it is, I think that you can get another month out of this program by Dean Ambrose shocking the world and getting the victory here against Kevin Owens and becoming Intercontinental Champion. Plus, I think it throws a little bit of spice into the whole title picture. And then the main event of the evening, I don't think this is what's going to be happening at all. I think that it will be Sheamus walking away as the winner. I think they're going to try to get another month out of it. I think that Roman Reigns will become champion at the Royal Rumble, or whoever it is. Sheamus is not taking this belt into WrestleMania. I think that's a safe bet. I don't think so far they've done anything interesting to have him be that long term of a champion. So I think Roman will win it at probably the Royal Rumble, and I think that the League of Nations, especially like, for example, Bad News Barrett, he's not involved in anything, or King Barrett, I should say, he's not involved in any matches, so he is perfectly coiled to get involved at the TLC main event match, where he could potentially cost Roman Reigns the title, push him off the ladder, the other members of the League of Nations get involved, whatever it is, there's definitely reasoning for you to allow Sheamus to win. If Sheamus loses and Roman Reigns is champion without a turn, he just becomes champion. I don't know what you do next. I really don't know what you do next, which maybe that's a good thing, so we'll see. Maybe that's exactly what they will do, and maybe that's what they go with into the Royal Rumble. Nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That is the entire prediction show for the TLC pay-per-view. Hopefully it will deliver. Hopefully it will be a giant reset button for the whole WWE product, and I'd like to believe it gets better from here, because it really can't get much worse. The last month of television was some of the hardest TV. In my opinion, it was the worst television I've watched of WWE. Like, there's just so few moments that I care for, and I really want to care. That's the thing. You see, like, we're still loyal to the product. It's just, there's going to come a point where people are going to start tuning off and changing the channel, and that's already begun. So hopefully they'll take notice and start adjusting and making the product more interesting for us to watch. Nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Let me know what you guys think of TLC. Maybe you're excited. Sorry for being a Debbie Downer and bringing down the mood. Hopefully you're excited, and hopefully you will enjoy the show. I'll catch you lovely folks next time. Peace out. See you later, alligators. Bye-bye, everyone.